appears to be a conversation that Kenyans are interested in, and the next election also to be about track record for leaders. And
not only track record, Ibrahim.
Yes, sir.
Also sincerity and the integrity of office and commitment to ethics and our constitution. I just, for example, give you the example of what William Ruto has done in 3 years as president. And notice I've never been president. Him as president, what has he done? He has done a road leading to his private farm in Taita Taveta, a 3,000-acre land. Okay? That road is ongoing. He's done another road to Kilgoris, complete with an airstrip valued at over 250 million shillings, to a private home. That is the old Murumbi farm. Remember? Acquired under very difficult circumstances. Even done a road here to Ruai, the sewage place for Nairobi. Another 3,000 acres out there. The road he has done. He's also done another to the Bimbi farm in Naivasha. So he's doing a lot of those roads within 3 years. I think this is a Singapore my friend has been looking at.
Indeed, what President William Ruto and the claims that you're making, of course, will lead to our fact-checking team will be fact-checking everything that is said in this particular interview. Whereas the opposition is painting that as personal interests, as a president serving his own interests. Let's speak about perhaps what would have served the people. For instance, the road between Kibwezi, Mutoki, Tui, all the way to Sekuru.
Indeed.
You mentioned how important, and Lapset, you mentioned here how important that particular road was. So if you had put any effort as vice president to have that road done, perhaps in the early days of your vice presidency, it would have been completed even before.
Vice president, my friend,
between 2008.
For 5 years, and remember when I took over as the 10th vice president, not by appointment, by my negotiation, the country was burning. I was actually busy helping this William Ruto from the hangman's noose, okay, the ICC, right? Trying to say, these are Kenyan nationals, we want to handle this thing as Kenya. We don't want to hang our dirty linen everywhere at the International Criminal Court. I spent the first 2-3 years settling the country, helping President Kibaki literally. And of course, also other things that we are doing at the national level. Yeah.
Now that we're here, sir, do you accept that then there are points at which you fell short? Do you think what is being given to the country is not a fair representation? But is there a point where you would say, I would have done this better?
Of course, one can always do better, for sure. Oh yes, there are things even today I would want to see done. For example, when it became important under Vision 2030, which Kibaki and I promulgated, and of course joined by Raila at that time. Remember the Grand Coalition government, which was a very successful government. We said under Vision 2030, we wanted to do the high grand force. This, William Ruto has done everything to scuttle, all right? And I mentioned earlier on, he had a meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh, in Egypt, where he met Prime Minister Sunak. The British government and Overseas Development Corporation were willing to assist Kenya get this project, which is supposed to generate 650 megawatts of electricity, give irrigation capacity in order for this country to run away from rain-fed agriculture, irrigate those swathes of land from Kitui to Tana River to Garissa. He has done everything to stop it, to scuttle. Just like he has scuttled the dual carriageway from Nairobi to Mombasa, which again an American consortium was leading, and they done all the financials and everything, because he wants to be able to give this to his preferred contractors. This is the whole business about Ruto, and that's why we call it Rutopreneurship. Yeah, everything is about him.
How do you, as president, now that you're getting into politics, then ring-fence projects from being used politically? Because right now, the road that you're speaking about, the Kibwezi-Mutomo road, is being used politically against you. And other projects that have been scuttled, perhaps for political expediency or for whatever other reasons. You want to be president. Should Kenyans give you that mandate, how would you ring-fence government projects and avoid using projects for political expediency?
I don't think the issue, Abraham, is to ring fence. First of all, we have a mechanism of budgeting for projects. All that this country needs is equity, equitable development. Even under Constitution 2010, again, William Ruto has failed to actualize this. We said those regions which have been left behind, like northern Kenya, these counties of Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Isiolo, Marsabit, parts of Ukambani, right, should have special funding, right, called equalization fund, right? Nobody has tried to do that, okay, because everybody is busy trying to grab and run. I think this is a government that is absolutely confused. And so I do not need to defend what is obvious. If leaders commit themselves, right, to constitutionalism, budget making, to devolution, I think William Ruto has tried to do everything to kill devolution. Are you not hearing from the Committee of Governors, COG, complaining even the 15% that they're supposed to go to them? William Ruto wants to put in a mechanism that controls who is getting what contract, yeah, the procurement aspects of it. And therefore, it is not possible to ring fence under Ruto, but I can tell you where there is proper and fair budgeting, everybody in the country will have their share of development. There must be equal development. And where people have been left behind, you also do equalization under the equalization fund. But of course, the important projects, like I mentioned, the Vision 2030. Now, instead of William Ruto completing Vision 2030, he has now jumped to Singapore, all right? Because this is actually the concept of when leaders, and this is politics, when leaders find that they are cornered, right? That there's so much corruption, nobody is trusting them, nobody can even look at them in the eyes and say, this man is saying the truth, all right? You do what is called the dead cat strategy. All right. You get a skunk, you throw a dead cat and say, I want to take you to Singapore, to first world. And you confuse the situation. You don't even say how you're going to do it. But I listened to his address on December 12th. And one thing he admitted is a country must also be under the rule of law. The country must have peace and security. Now there can be peace and security where the country is feeling the citizens are safe, citizens are not being abducted. William Ruto's record is actually #1 in the world on abductions. And you want to take citizens to Singapore? Well, if I last checked, the population of Singapore is 6.7 million. We are nearly 60 million. Maybe William Ruto wants to eliminate us and match Singaporean kind of thing. So of course, that's on a lighter note. On a serious note, from Hustler Nation, Dynasties was as hustlers, he has found he is now acting against every intention an innocent Kenyan Mamamboga or Boda had. He's running away from that now. No more dynasties, no more hustler, no more bottom. He only talks about bottom-up economics when he's delivering a national address. But you ask yourself, what is this bottom-up? It's all about Rutonomics. He once said he was a student of Kibaki. Kibaki would never have done this type of economics. So we are dealing here with a leadership which is confused, all right? And so it is our responsibility to set this country back on record. And the #1 thing, because he keeps on saying we have no agenda, hatuna akili. Ile akili tuko nayo ni nyingi zaidi, by the way. And now I'm just saying the issue here, constitutionalism. If Ruto can go back and recognize, he swore to uphold, all those undertakings under the Constitution, Although, of course, we all know you post-Constitution 2010, but he has ended up being the biggest beneficiary of his opposition, all right? So we want to take this country back to the rule of law. All right. It's a major undertaking, an all-important agenda. Of course, I will not be running for president for the first time. I ran in 2007, remember? And I was talking about a country that works on the basis of 24-hour economy. Now, how do you make Kenya Singapore when 6,000 companies in Kenya have migrated to Tanzania, to Uganda, and our youth are unemployed? How do you do that?
What is the source of your data about 6,000 companies?
Well, this was given to us when we had the NADCO report. It was brought to us actually, hard copies. At that time we were told because of what had happened in the country, and it continues, nothing has changed. Companies were migrating from Kenya. That means exporting jobs to Uganda, jobs to Tanzania.
So, Excellency, you're basically...
So how do you... Going back, so what Ruto has done, he has thrown a dead cat on the table. That dead cat syndrome.
Which is the Singapore dream.
In Singapore dream.
So basically...
And nobody is opposed to making Kenya a first world country. But we must do so. Under Vision 2030, Kenya was supposed by 2030 to be a middle-income country with its citizens enjoying high quality of life. How many Kenyans are able to put food on the table today, even as we go for Christmas? And you want to tell us they're taking us to Singapore? My friend, this is a dead cat strategy.
You're basically rubbishing the Singapore dream by President William Ruto as a joke. However, Excellency, in your book, Against All Odds, a book which you actually gave to me here, you mentioned about the Asian tigers and how you truly believe that Kenya can achieve this.
Indeed.
Then, which is your way of achieving first world status?
I just given you that, Ibrahim. If you heard me, Vision 2030, work on it. Then, of course, Africa is talking about Vision 2063, okay? We can move faster. This country, by the way, has the potential to grow very, very fast, provided we get rid of leadership types, of this type of William Ruto kind of leadership, all right? Where you do everything by reverse order and then say, I'm taking you to Singapore. Of course, we want to wait. This is the time for from the Asian tigers. In my book, I talk about the African lions. So the countries of Africa have provided we do some of the basics, by the way, we see that in the region, for example, there's instability which seems to come with elections, like happened recently in Tanzania. But I'm sure as Tanzanians will pick themselves up and move. So it is true, I believe in the Asian tiger story, but of course with African characteristics, all right? African characteristics.
Let's talk
with all the resources. See Donald Trump pushing an agreement between Kagame and Felix Tshisekedi, right? In order to look at the mineral wealth in the DRC. And he made it very plain. The amount of wealth we have under the soil. Look at the gold in Kakamega. And by the way, we must tell people they should leave Kakamega gold alone until people of Kakamega have actually been socialized to this whole idea. Not just to come in there and dig and run away. Value addition is key, all right? So there's a lot of wealth in Africa, but it requires proper leadership so that that wealth does not go to people's pockets and they claim that they're taking you to Singapore when they're actually enjoying themselves.
I really want us to speak about your dream in a granular way, to break it down so that Kenyans understand. Because right now, we are speaking about a Kalonzo Musyoka who stands a chance of being president in 2007, should Kenyans give you that mandate. We saw a statement by the Wiper Patriotic Front Secretary General Shakila Abdallah speaking about saying, just to quote it verbatim, Wiper Patriotic Front stands ready to anchor the next government in 2027. We stand ready to, this is the commitment of your party. One, restore Vision 2030. You've mentioned it here. Rebuild our healthcare system from Ruto's ruins. And this is where my first focus goes to. What is your plan on healthcare? How will you rebuild it from what your party terms as ruins?
First of all, healthcare, admittedly, is a shambles under Ruto. Okay? Universal healthcare is a basic human right under Article 43 of our Constitution. So every Kenyan is entitled to decency when it comes to how they get attended to in terms of health care. If we put things right, a lot of Kenyans go to India, and in India you hear of health tourism, tourism linked to health, people fleeing to India for all manner of attention medically. Well, we can do it here. We can do it here, all right? So our priority is to get universal health care properly and not to make it a cartel. Right now, SHA, as we know it, it is part of the Andani deals. 104 billion shillings, which was supposed to be an arrangement between Andani, Shah, and of course NHIF actually needed to be looked at properly and sort out the management and the corruption, and there was nothing wrong with NHIF. But this Shah, nobody understands. It's all corruption. So we will set healthcare correctly. Education, as we speak, is also in shambles. All right?
Excellency,
in shambles.
Excellency, education is the next point, but still on healthcare. I know you're saying we will set it correctly, and we have the time to explain, because thanks to NTV, we have that time to explain to Kenyans. So how exactly will we make healthcare work? How exactly will you accommodate all the 55 million Kenyans to universal health coverage with the systems, or with all factors remaining constant, including the kind of money that the kind of revenue that we are raising as a country under Kalonzo presidency?
Healthcare happens to be a milk cow for anybody who is greedy as a leader. So take out the greed, the corruption in the health sector. That is a problem. So the number one thing is we take out corruption from healthcare. All right? And you see a big difference. That's what we must do.
Then that takes me to the... So how do you take out corruption? Because it's not something you're picking. I mean,
correct leaders, the corrupt leaders. You know, we mean business, my friend. I know Kenyans have given up on people saying we will do away with corruption and what have you. But look at me. How many Kenyans can say, oh, Kalonzo is corrupt? Under Kibaki, when I was Kibaki's vice president, if I wanted to enrich myself, I would have done it. But I didn't. Because where I come from, I mean, my calling is to show leadership. I tell you, everybody knows if Kalonzo is president today, even those cartels, before we give them 3 months to wind up and return all the money they have taken to Dubai, to other tax havens, we want that money back. That money will give our people health care. That money, by the way, you say you're coming to education, will give our people free secondary education up to the university. We know how to do it.
Education is my next point, and right now what is happening is placement of learners to senior school, and there appears to be an uproar. We are in this new system where the country is yet to understand. The opposition says we are experimenting with our children. What is your practical solution to what is happening to it in our education sector? Look at the funding crisis, be it in universities or whichever level of learning. What is Kalonzo Musyoka's practical solution now that we have the time to explain to the country?
You know, when I ran for president in 2007, I said we will make this country enjoy free secondary education, additional to free primary, which Kibaki and us did. Remember Mzee Maruge, who went to primary 1 at 84 years, right? Eventually passed on. But he had at least the opportunity to go to school. It is everybody's right. Every citizen of this country is entitled to free secondary, free primary, which is compulsory, and also now free secondary, which they've tried to mess up with. University funding is a shambles. Ruto himself is a beneficiary of the Higher Education Loans Board. When I was Minister for Education, I appointed, I think, the present day governor of Baringo. He was the first executive of Higher Education Loans Board. And we used to get, boom, 6,000 shillings per semester. And now we would even go and have decent meals at the Central Catering Unit of University of Nairobi, where some of us went to. William Ruto himself is a beneficiary. Why bring such a confusion on funding? Today, there are so many parents who cannot take their kids to MB University, to wherever other university. I have a driver here who is supposed to give, he's asking me to help him with 200,000, ndio mtoto aendelee na MB University. A lot of parents cannot access university funding, university education. We will correct all this. By the way, when I say this, I want you to know we've already set in mechanism experts in this country whom we will not even mention. They are busy working. We don't want to throw Ruto out of State House and then waste another 1 year trying to see what shall we do. We will hit the road running. If it is that we must review SHA, they'll come up with the best way to do it, right? If it is that we need to realign education now, because people don't know which classes as kids are going to and which schools. Complete chaos. This is not how to go to in Singapore, my friend. Yeah.
So, Kalonzo Musyoka,
if you mess up education in Watoto, you messed up the whole country.
All right. President William Ruto has accused the opposition of being agendaless. He actually says the agenda of the opposition are three things. Must go, one term, Kasongo. Kalonzo Musyoka here is asking to be the president of Kenya. The voters are watching tonight, and they want to know, aside from theory, we are saying, yes, we have to fix healthcare. Yes, we have to fix education. You are in office. You have been inaugurated. What is the most transformative thing that you expect within the first 100 days of Kalonzo Musyoka?
You see, first of all, Kenyans will need a breath of fresh air. A breath of fresh air. This is what this country needs. I think Kenyans are tired of deceptive politics. But let me be very clear. The first 100 days will get this country settled. I've told you that we have experts already working on every sector. On every sector. Because nobody, that's a problem with Ruto. I think he's his own advisor, he's his own, even the advisors he appointed, I don't know who advises William Ruto. So, as I said, we must stop the nonsense, the dragon of stealing from your people, and then pretending you're going to do something wonderful, right? I've talked about healthcare and education, which we must again review. What is this thing? What is this in the model? Must make sure our children go to school. That's very important. I don't think there's a more important agenda than getting every Kenyan child going to university at any other level in a predictable, clear system. All right? When I say that healthcare will be redone, we mean it. Well, of course, we're going to come and discuss things we must do. Ruto has, right? Give him a clear agenda, even when the by-elections are ongoing. He signed into law, right? Government-Owned Assets Act. He has repealed 18 acts of parliament, establishing state parastatals. Right? I'll give you an example. Even KPA, KICC, ADC, I'm talking about, AFC, all that, and setting up a situation which is almost very highly questionable. That you take these parastatals, right, from the public limelight, scrutiny by parliament, and also not to be subject to the Control and Auditor General. What does that tell you? Creating now a fund which is meant now to kill this country's economy forever. And that is what he's saying. You'll be selling these state-owned assets and put them ring-fenced. We talked about ring-fencing. Ring-fencing into some account, which will be under Ruto's management. My friend, what are we talking about? So that we must reverse. It's a very important agenda. We will reverse those. You cannot sell a state-owned parastatals without public participation, without telling Kenyans what is happening. The requirement for public participation is a cornerstone requirement under Constitution 2010. This country has come of age, all right? So that's very important. Of course, when I tell you, we will not allow any Kenyan kids to be shot in the legs haphazardly. We will not allow any abduction, no Subarus. That's a very important agenda.
That's the next question I was heading to. What will the security forces or the security units look like under Kalonzo Musyoka presidency? This is a very dicey question because even President William Ruto, while contesting for presidency, spoke about never again will this particular security units be used to settle political scores. In fact, he even allowed the police to handle their own accounts, their own money. There are claims, of course, that the jury is out there, that the police are still being used politically. What will it be looking like under the Kalonzo Musyoka presidency?
I think I'll give you the most recent example of how Kenya is becoming a police state. Today in Githiga, for the first time since I went into public leadership, a police officer in uniform, full uniform, and I really thanked him, comes to that function and he's taking photographs. One corner there, Mimi na Eugene, ingine pale, and then when he asked him, he said, it is that photo is required by his commanders. Commander, what does that tell you? That we cannot even genuinely go and enjoy company in a church service without being photographed by the police? But having said that, and I thanked that officer because he was very, very sincere. I hope they don't victimize him. I wish others are as transparent as him, saying it's required of us to know nani amekuja huku. All right? But having said that, we have a very professional army. Indeed, I hold the view that please, William Ruto, mess around with everything else, but don't mess around with Tonje rules, which govern succession in the military. Of course, I know there are attempts to do certain things. I maintain General Gola was taken out. Because how do you fly commander of the Kenya's defense forces in an 80-year-old aircraft to go and inspect a primary school which was under construction in a military invested, bandit invested area? So, apart from that, I'm happy that our boys have come back from Haiti. That was a mission impossible. And I think they tried to do whatever. When they touched down there, they were able to kiss Kenyan soil. They're back home. We wanted that because we attended the funeral of some of them in Kajiado and elsewhere. But you know, the recruitment, right now, the recruitment to the defense forces, right, is very questionable. And the problem we have, for example, in Rwanda and in Burundi, where we have the majority being the Tutsis, the Hutus, and the minority were always the Tutsis in both countries, in both Burundi and in Rwanda. What happened, which led to the genocide, was the majority Hutus. That's a very important matter I'm raising. Because if you allow recruitment to armed forces to be on tribal basis, not professionally, now, to get your child employed in the army or the police or even the prisons, you have to part with 700,000. It's a tag, a price tag, 700,000. Mtoto amesomeshwa mpaka form 4. Mama hana namna ama baba wengine from single mothers. Okay.
What evidence do you have for these allegations?
No, we have all that.
The payment has to be done. What evidence do you have that a single community is being hired into the military, for instance?
Let me tell you that. Yes, I would want a report by the committee in Parliament dealing with security, foreign relations, to table, and I ask our members of Parliament, to table the names of Kenyans who have been recruited recently.
But sir, you are alleging, you're the one alleging live on NTV, and it will be fair to our viewers if you say these are the allegations that a single community is dominating recruitment, and this is the evidence.
Evidence is there. And I think we can lay it there. And by the way, it's a requirement under the Constitution. Remember there was recruitment under KRA, where I don't know, 1,500 people, the whole thing, the court said, hey, no, this is blatant, okay? It's contrary to the Constitution. I'm telling you, I'm concerned about recruitment to Kenya Defense Forces. And I want, when the Parliament next sit, I know they'll try cover up, but I think I'm asking our members of Parliament to demand a tabling of the names. I saw right now, it's a good example. I saw Inspector General Kanja in Kiganjo 2 days ago, launching the training for 5,203 recruits. Let's start there. Let's have the list and the breakdown. It is important. It's constitutional. And if I'm proved wrong, then I will apologize.
But the burden of proof lies on you, who's alleging, and especially on NTV. And it's important that you mention that this, these are views of Kalonzo Musyoka, as NTV were not able to verify right now.
Are you not aware that even the 80,000 teachers that William Ruto says they are recruiting, they give these appointment letters in funerals, in Kisii, for example? That was found as correct evidence.
Yeah, that was in public.
Okay, public domain. That continues. That if you want, as a member of parliament, you go to State House and obtain your appointment letters. Today, State House should tell us how many people went through State House to be recruited. You'll be shocked. Not less than 2,000 recruits are picked by William Ruto directly. And this is the truth. And when you go that way, then you end up with that serious conflict, undermining the professionalism of our defense forces.
And because you're a leader and you have members of parliament under your
That's one thing we will correct.
Do you commit to the public that then your members of parliament under the Wiper Party are going to be raising this once parliament comes back?
I want them to do that. I want that table, community by community, right? How many of the 5,203 recruits, because you also suspect these are some of the people who are given, because Kanja said, oh no, we have to train them in the recent developments in digital policing and all of that kind of thing. I hope they don't end up being the ones who give priority to goons. Because in these days, you can't tell the difference between a police officer and a goon. All right? So this is a reality. And this is not a country under the rule of law anymore. Hey, you have never seen me talk like this. And I'm telling you, I'm very concerned. We have a lot of fixing to do.
A lot of fixing to do. And there are two issues which I want us to discuss. Very important that we discuss them in this particular interview. One is about elections and the integrity of elections, and making sure that the 2027 election actually reflects what the people or the people's will. But secondly is about the opposition. And this is what I want us to start with. You are mentioned. You've actually stated in the statement that was brought out by Shakil Abdallah that the entire country, should you stop anyone, not sponsored opinion polls, Kalonzo Tosha. Do you believe that is so?
I believe right now we are ahead of William Ruto by far. And I think that's the reason, because he's a consumer. He has said it himself. He's a consumer of first-class state intelligence. All right? So he knows he's lagging behind. Okay? So this is why he has decided, okay, let me deal with the number one fellow who seems to be leading the pack. Okay? And I think that is what he's doing. But I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. All we want to say, let him calm down. Calm down. If the elections come and he wins in a fair and free, transparent election, I'll be the first person to congratulate him. All right? But if, on the other hand, he does what is obviously expected, a lot of Kenyans are saying, yeah, in your position people, how will this fellow, how will you manage him? I want to tell you, we are doing everything possible as united opposition to make sure William Ruto will not steal the next election. We may not have to give you all the details, all right? But I can give you an example. You know, IBC, all right? The IBC as presently constituted is a William Ruto IBC. And we challenge them to come up and prove their citizens and that they are able to deliver the next election. Right now, what is happening, even with the registration of voters? What is happening? Even when the by-elections are continuing in Mbere and in Malava and elsewhere, are you aware that they were transferring, and we have evidence? I wish some of these things I could bring for you. They were actually transferring voters from Westlands, register them in Mbere North, yeah, and yet ring fencing. When during a by-election, you should not register voters in an area where there is a contest.
Sure.
So what I'm telling you, Ibrahim, we are doing everything we can. We have a team of 100 lawyers, right? We will be taking every matter seriously. Of course, the last line of defense for us is the judiciary.
One wonders, because this statement about we are doing everything we can to ensure that the next election is not stolen, then one wonders what happened for then the by-election to be stolen, as the opposition is alleging. Because the opposition says Mbere North, in fact, there is some petition about it, though about the member of parliament who won. You also claim about Malava having been stolen. If you were as prepared as you have been saying, as the opposition,
we called on the chairman of IBC and his team, all right, to act on Malava. They didn't have to wait for results to be announced. That violence in Malava was enough to say, hey, stop this. Okay? They didn't. We are taking them, we are going to take them to court on that. We are not going to allow any, nobody in Kenya is, by the way, above the law. So the chairman, Ethicon, and his people, we are going to hold them accountable for what happened in Malava. We are going to hold them accountable for what happened in Bere. Okay? Of course, a very strong petition is coming. Yeah, even if you have to steal, you have to steal in a manner that is intelligent. You don't get, even the misuse of state resources. I don't know how every PS was supposed to go to Mbere, led of course by the deputy president. You have no problem, deputy president should fight. But now, bringing all these other 600 million shillings plus, I'm not sure about the figure, but a lot of resources were spent or misspent, misused, abuse of office. For example, if it is that Ruku, right, who became the minister, he was the one chasing at 6 o'clock, chasing people from polling station. Some of the young people had to run for their lives. While the constitution says he should not even be taking part in that election. It is
a voter in Bere North.
No, but voter, but
in terms of, you said he should not be taking part in the election.
No. He should vote. Voting he should, but was leading the campaigns. In fact, I was on ground in Bere myself, and we met with a convoy of GKs and things, yeah, between Ishara and a place called Kadawana or something.
Let's speak about the opposition and talks about lineup having been established.
Before you come to that, Ibrahim, you know, I have to tell you, let us complete a thought, that therefore the example of these by-elections is not evidence enough that the opposition is not going to handle the next contest. If anything, we now know they have brought all the rot out of these by-elections. So we know exactly how to stop them. We know exactly. And we're going to start even by private prosecution against a man called Marjan. Marjan is the CEO. When we had the NADCO, everybody agreed and they signed that the CEO of IBC will not be there in 2027. He should leave, should immediately leave, because we don't want them to say, oh, renew the contract because it's too close to 2027. These are some of the demands which are basic, minimum, all right? And I can also tell you that Smartmatic were not supposed even to supervise, to do with this by-elections. Their contract ended in April 2024, okay? And so this Marjan took advantage of the fact the commissioners were not in place to renew the Smartmatic contract. It's a framework contract. We are taking action against this. We are taking them to court. So hii mchezo bwana ni maisha ya Wakenya, and we know, and I want Ethicon to know, how did poor Kivui to die? Because when you have a whole country condemning you, can't even enjoy food, all right? And how did his immediate predecessor die? Because this is serious. Because you cannot subvert the will of the Kenyan voters. Now, sauti ya wananchi ni sauti ya Mungu, okay? So, let me tell you sincerely, if I live in this country, one-term movement is unstoppable. Wewe mwenyewe umeniambia ndo kutoka kwa constituency huko, natoka pande gani, niko Rift Valley. Everybody is talking one term. Mpaka they say, okay, let us invent something two term. Nobody, they are not even convinced that they should pronounce two term, because it is just following after what Kenyans are saying. And it's a serious agenda on its own, by the way.
Then there is a question, aside from protecting votes and ensuring that the election...
So I hope I've addressed you on IBC and what you're going to do.
You have, and about what you'll do to ensure that the elections are not stolen. But then there is a challenge about actually winning these elections. What is it that you are doing as the opposition to ensure that you get support countrywide? So far, and this has been painted against the opposition as a side that is focused on dividing the country. Actually, we've heard about leaders focusing on their specific regions. Say, the leaders from Western focus on consolidating. Western Kalonzo Musyoka focus on consolidating your region. Rigathi Gachagua focuses on consolidating the Mount Kenya region. Then how are you going to win the country?
Ibrahim, every political formation must have an area where, and it's even common in older democracies. Look at the UK, when you have the Labour Party and Conservatives, you find there are areas which are strongly for Labour and strongly for Conservative. The same recently in the US, yeah? They paint them as blue states and red states, okay? But that aside, nothing stops us as opposition government in waiting, and I please want you to take me seriously along with our viewers who are Kenyan citizens, all right? That the next election will be a game changer. First of all, we are riding on the blood of our children. There was a revolution which happened on the 25th of June, 2024. Our young kids who are killed and who have not even been compensated. Although Ruto said they'll pay them here and there, set up some commission here without proper consultation. This country is in a revolutionary mood. This is why when they say one term, it is not anything. It's a country talking about revolution time. That we are not going to allow you to steal. You remember they wanted to go and remove Ruto from State House? They stopped. I want to plead with them. Come out even and take their voters' cards. I know they're angry, but I urge them to take out their voters' cards now. You can only remove President William Ruto using your voters' card, not your anger. This is my plea as a parent. And we are there to walk this journey with them. So you must understand, the next election, if you look at it that way, it's not, some people say, oh, Ruto cannot be beaten. Hey.
In fact, someone said that defeating William will be a mystery.
Ruto cannot be beaten. Ruto is human. Ruto is a Kenyan, all right? And Ruto knows that he lost to Gen Zs. That's why he went to look for Raila, all right? And Raila comes and tells us, the man looked so weak that I thought he was going to hand over the country to the military. I'm just quoting what our brother Raila told us. Ruto is beatable. And the same people that addressed him on accountability, on the need to stop stealing people's future. That is still the agenda. Right. Agenda item number one, stop stealing from our people.
We need to take this conversation forward, and right now let's speak about the opposition and its unity.
Yeah.
Part of the concern that Kenyans have about if indeed you're going to have a realistic shot at defeating President William Ruto is why is the opposition seeming divided? We saw a press conference on the same day, yourself, Rigathi Gachagua, Eugene Omalo on one side doing a meeting and a press conference. That the same day, also Fred Matiang'i, Martha Karua and some other team members meeting also as the opposition. Is there a division in the United Opposition?
I've not heard of any division. And again, when you're building coalitions anywhere in the world, it's a very difficult thing. What I know is we picked on Mukisa Kitui as a spokesperson, so it was in order to issue that statement, because actually they had met, that picture you talk about was the previous day, and this other meeting at Chui House was the following day, and so Kitui released that statement, which apparently was not in contradistinction, which is contradicting what we say, all right? Have you ever had anybody say that, oh, I'm out of this coalition? Because I'm telling you, personally, I'm doing whatever it takes to make sure that we stay together. But you know, staying together is not a matter of personalities. It is the ideology. I'm telling you, the overriding issue here is the anger in our country. That if you fall out of this arrangement, we will hold you responsible. That is the mood in the country. Any of us, therefore, saying, oh, I can be compromised by William Ruto, whichever way, the country is watching. So I believe, therefore, we will hold together. And not only that, I'm calling on other friends like Chief Justice Emeritus to join fully, Senator Mutata and everybody else to join, so that all of us, and I have no problem, if any of my colleagues is picked to carry the flag, I will support them. After all, I'm used to this, isn't it? But I believe this time, we want to finish this job.
All right. That was going to be my next question on whether we're going to allow anyone else picked to lead the course.
We want to complete this task.
Even if you're not picked.
It's a very important task.
Even if you're not picked on any position on the ticket.
I don't know what you mean by any position. If I'm reading the mood in the country, right? If I'm reading the mood in the country, and I started by suggesting, I may be wrong, the reason William Ruto has singled me out, give a dog a bad name and kill it by throwing the cat thing, a dead cat on the table. We're going to Singapore, all right? Oh, Kalonzo kwake hakuna barabara. I don't mind. By the way, we came from the dust, and to dust we shall all return. Okay.
Are you concerned?
So there's value about dust.
Are you concerned then, because you say you've been picked by President William Ruto, are you concerned by the sprouting up of new political parties? We recently saw Governor Sonko launch a party, which ideally...
By the way, Governor Sonko ni kijana yangu. Yeah, he was running for Governor Mombasa, remember? And the Wiper Democratic Movement. He has briefed me that this is okay. He is free. Every Kenyan, article under our constitution, I think article, Kenya is a multi-party democracy. But you might find as we go on, right? As we go on, that some will realign, some will hold on, because the task ahead, which we must complete, this task must be completed by Kenyans themselves to make William Ruto one term. It's so critical, all right? Therefore, anybody, I'm sure my kijana yangu, Governor Sonko knows. Yeah.
Let's talk about the late Raila Odinga's support base.
Yes.
May God rest his soul in eternal peace.
Indeed.
This is a man you supported all through, and at some point there was even an indication that him and his party were going to support you. But right now his support base is not seemingly on your side. It appears...
Who told you that?
The audience support base speaks about broad-based government.
Hey, who says that it's a broad-based government? By the way, you know, I said nitasema initoke. I'm going to say it, not now. I can tell you for a fact, William Ruto, Raila Amolo Odinga, my late comrade in arms, right? His heart was never in the broad-based government. Okay? I'm writing a book to bring it out, because we were in constant communication every week. What happened is these so-called four experts were reached out individually by William Ruto. Some of them were threatened. If you don't accept that I make you a minister, I'll take you to jail. Let them remain nameless. Can you imagine? Yani unaambiwa, if you don't accept my appointment as minister, I will have you arrested for corruption. That tells you this man is weak. Okay? But this is what I'm telling you, therefore. Did you not see how we were received by the Raila Odinga family? Because they know the relationship between my brother Raila and I was beyond sometimes politics. We spent a lot of time together. I remember one time we went with our spouses to Ethiopia,
right,
to begin to understand each other.
Right.
We even went to Germany. We went everywhere. When we lost, we went even to South Africa in the national parks. That time when Tai was with us. This is time tested, all right? And so when you say some of them, of course some of them, the ministers, must sing that praise. But the others who are saying no. And then what I want to urge my friends in ODM, all right, is please, let us read the intention. Let us never squander the intentions and the future Raila Odinga had for this country. That future was for a just democratic country, was for a country devoid of corruption. And I think I saw our little daughter, Winnie, come out strong on that score. She understands. If there's a person who understands Raila Odinga, it is his family. Yeah.
As we wind up, because we actually are running out of time, I want you to tell me about your approach for Nairobi politics. Nairobi is a very critical county for the country, of course.
It's the face of Kenya.
It's the face of Kenya, indeed. And this has been spoken about by your counterpart, the party leader of DCP, Rigathi Gachagua, who said you have agreed that you're leaving all the governor, especially senator, women representative.
Graham, I don't want to spend time on negative energy.
That was said.
The truth is, there's no agreement, and what my brother Rigiji was trying to say was to say that, you know, Wiper in this city is significant. By the way, I don't even want to talk about Wiper. The Patriotic Front followers, they're significant in this city. So what we shall do in Nairobi, assuming we do not even agree on the framework agreement, like we did in 2002, where we had National Rainbow Coalition, but I was LDP, Rainbow, Raila Odinga was LDP, Mudi Awori, the late Joe Saitoti, Kibaki, and Gilu, and Wamala were NAK. But when we formed the National Rainbow Coalition, we did the initial competition, nomination level, at the nomination level. But whoever emerged as the winner at the constituency was given the flag of NAC. So I went to Parliament as the NAC Member of Parliament for Mwingi North. All right? Charity Ngilu went as NAC Member of Parliament for Kitui Central, although she was from NAK. Raila Odinga and Kibaki himself. So that's a model I want to recommend. And if that model is accepted, then what we are trying to do to try and malign my friend Rigiji. By the way, I've known Rigiji for only 1 year and 2 months, and I can tell you, I've not seen a bigger fighter and a man who loves his country more than Rigiji. I can tell you that, okay? So we are going to do all those things. Therefore, when he was talking, and I believe he was talking maybe in Kikuyu or something, you know, in Kuzo language, saying, because obviously we used to support ODM strongly in Nairobi. So you can imagine ODM, Wiper Patriotic Front, DCP, DAP Kenya, holding together, and Jubilee, holding together in Nairobi. Shall we surely not sweep Ruto out? We will.
That is very different from what Rigathi Gachagua said, because he spoke
I think he clarified it. No, and I don't want you to dwell on the past. He clarified it, and also issued a statement. Yeah. So I'm telling you the most up-to-date position. That is what we are looking at. All manner of possibilities. But please don't fall for the sake. By the way, I think some people understood Rigiji to mean, oh, maybe a Kikuyu and a Mkamba. No. We will be having Patriotic Front candidates in Westlands who are not Mkamba. Okay? And so what we do, even if we don't agree on the flagship party, we'll do exactly what we did during the by-elections. Wipe out a candidate in Magarini, right? Although we knew the ODM candidate, Kambi, was strong. And we did our own opinion polling, and we had to withdraw the Wiper candidate, and we ran for DCP. And I went to campaign for the DCP candidate in Mbeere North. In Mbeere North. Listen, in Mbeere North. The candidate we were campaigning for is a DP candidate, not even DCP. And Rigiji spent all the time there. So nothing bars us from that kind of approach. We will look at what is possible. You know, these days of artificial intelligence, I can tell you, for example, who is the most likely MP for Njoro. I can tell you by tomorrow, if you call me. Yeah.
Excellency, we need to wind up this conversation. Time is really running out. Perhaps your closing comments.
Yeah, well, wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. As we think of this Christmas season, of course we slaughter a lot of chicken, a lot of goats, maybe a few cows here. I'm so happy. A year ago, I took a position to say we were not sure what they are trying to do with vaccinations. I was playing basketball outside here. And they stopped it. They argued, they went along with it because we didn't want the DNA of our cows and goats to change. So may we enjoy every goat we can catch hold of in the next few days into the next year. And I want to tell you, 2026, in my view, is a critical year. It is a year because elections are a process. We cannot wait for 2027 to win or lose the next election. The next election in 2027 will be won or lost in 2026. But I have every confidence that the official, the united opposition will drive out dictatorship from Kenya in 2027. And that we will do in 2026 as we set up the mechanisms and everything else.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very much.
Enjoy it yourself.
Asante sana. And Merry Christmas to you. And happy New Year 2026.
Thank you.
That has been Wiper Patriotic Front leader Kalonzo Musyoka, of course, in this in-depth exclusive interview with NTV, speaking about a myriad of issues, including the road to Singapore, which if not exhausted, of course, we'll be seeking to break down even what he has said and even fact-check everything that he has said in this particular interview. Keep it NTV and all across our social platforms to ensure that we give you what is factual from the interview. Of course, that will be done by teams in the course of the week. As from the next few minutes, of course, be sure to follow all our social platforms. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. On behalf of the entire team that has been here at the current residence of Kalonzo Musyoka, of course, led by Arnold Magenyi and the entire team, we thank you for watching. And right now, I take you back to studio where Zainab Ismail is.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Karanja. They're having that conversation with Wiper Patriotic Front